Welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Metcalf. This week, I'm joined once again by Tyler Rucker, and we just decided to have a little bit of fun. We've done the deep dives into positions, specific prospects. We've dove into philosophy, and this week we wanted to take a step back and kind of combine everything we've been talking about and just do our kind of first mock draft on here. And over on No Ceilings, we've done a collective mock draft where we've all sat down and talked through every pick at, for some of them a little too long. But for this episode, I just wanted to get in and let our personal biases show, have a little bit of fun. We're going to randomize the order on Tankathon here in a minute. But Tyler, how are you doing?
I'm good. I feel like me and you were getting excited to dive deep and talk about another slate of prospects. And then we were like, why don't we just have some fun with this? Like, we're tired of trying to be smart and talk all these fancy stuff. Let's do a little mock draft. So all of a sudden, when you brought that idea up, I was like, all right, I got a little extra energy. Like, let's get after it. So no, I'm pumped for this. It's always fun doing these with you.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was just it required very little planning on our part, but it should be a lot of fun, and it'll just be, I think, a good exercise now that we're really getting into conference play to start looking at some of these teams and where some of these guys could go based on team need and, kind of where we currently have them on our individual boards. So I am over on Tankathon right now, simming the lottery. And with the first overall pick, since I'm such a gentleman and a gracious host, I will let you take the first pick. Otherwise, I may do something reckless and something that'll get me in trouble with the third pick. So with the first overall pick, the Detroit Pistons are on the clock. Go ahead.
Okay. I love how we're just like on the air simulation. We didn't even prep this. This is going to be just so chaotic and probably going to make like 5 picks that I have to go back and be like, can I change my pick? But Detroit, number 1, I think there's a lot of directions they could go. I think that obviously the debate for the top 3 is going to keep heating up, but you hinted about getting reckless. I'm going to get reckless. Let's do it. I'm going to say Jabari Smith for this exercise. We're going to get a little crazy. We're going to get off the rails. I think he's heating up, and we did the previous No Ceilings mock, and we had Paulo in our first edition going to the Pistons, ironically enough. And I feel like when we got in that war room where we were all talking, Jabari was kind of in the back of all of our heads, but he just continues to be really, really impressive. I think the two-way upside might give him the edge when it comes to draft day if he continues to play like this. So, yeah, I just like the fit for Detroit. You're talking about a floor spacer who can really move defensively, give that team some versatility all over the place, putting him next to Isaiah Stewart and with Cade Cunningham. I mean, I'm more intrigued with the idea of Jabari at 1 to a team like Detroit who could just say, hey, this guy might have as much upside as the other 2 bigs and Paulo Banchero and Chet. So, yeah. Just because I want to piss you off and we're going to get a little wild, I'm taking Jabari first, and I never thought I'd do it, but I'm just feeling crazy tonight.
So I actually don't hate that because fit-wise, I think that's kind of the best landing spot for Jabari at the top because, I think Paulo is a pretty awful fit there because I want the ball in Cade's hands as much as possible. And I think Paulo takes away from that a little bit, and then Jabari, just the defense I think his defense really complements Cade, and then his shooting on offense, which is something that team desperately needs, and Cade has never played with, and I can't wait for him to actually play with a really high level shooter. I love that fit all around. He's still not the top guy on my board, but I get it. I don't hate it. It's not
me
outlandish.
Too. I'll agree with you. He's not number
outlandish.
1 for me. Yeah.
But speaking of number 1, I am going to take the top guy on my board right now with the number 2 pick, the San Antonio Spurs, moving up 4 spots. they're gonna go with Chet Holmgren, and
Amazing.
I really kind of love this fit for them. I think his absurd feel for the game. I just can only imagine Greg Popovich falling in love with him immediately. I think his defense will complement Jakob in the post really well. I think Jakob's one of those centers where you can play both of them together. And then that way, offensively, Chet can play a little more as like a four. And defensively, he doesn't have to worry about holding his own against the more physical centers, and can really use his length to be more disruptive as a weak side shot blocker and then connector on offense. And I really like that fit for San Antonio, and for them to get, in my opinion, the best player in this draft is just another kind of luck of the draw for an organization who has a pretty solid history of doing that.
Yeah, I feel like if San Antonio jumped to 2 and Chet was the pick, I feel like it might be one practice before Popovich goes in and says, like, just give me 3 more years and I'll take a pay cut. Like, this is exactly the guy I want. No, I would love that fit. That would be so fun. And I'm like you, that is a Spurs type of player. I never even thought of the idea of Chet with the Spurs. That would just be fantastic. I love it. Okay, we're off to a good note. All right, so for everyone listening or watching, Ty literally just threw me the order. So I'm literally just, I'm on the clock when I see who's picking. So now I finally got a little bit of an eyeball. Orlando at 3. Okay. The Orlando Magic at 3. Probably going to take another forward. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to go Paulo there. I just think when you're there and with the top 3, you have to do it. And, they have a stable of guards that they're still trying to figure out. It looks like Cole Anthony's taking the next leap. Jalen Suggs, I still think very high of. I think he's going to have a promising, sophomore leap that we're all going to have to buckle up for. So let's get him some running mates. Let's get him a big guy that can light it up in a hurry. And I think Paulo would be great there. And I don't think that one's too fancy. I do think. How are you? Let's get a little off topic, Ty. I'm throwing you on the spot. Yeah. How are you feeling about Paulo lately? Do you think he's not buzzing as much, or is it just because we're too fascinated with Jabari? I just feel like lukewarm about Paulo compared to the early portion of the season, and I thought that was gonna happen. I mean, you don't fall in love with a guy the entire year. You keep trying to find people that are gonna tease you.
So. Something I've been trying to workshop, but I'm like 50% on right now is dropping Paulo to 4 because I've been pretty underwhelmed by him. And part of that is just him being so good in high school and then kind of looking almost the exact same. I haven't seen a ton of growth or changes in his game like I have with some of these other guys. I feel like he hasn't had that huge breakout. Let me just take over this game and win it. Yet I haven't been wowed by him yet, and I'm kind of worried about the defense. I'm not completely sold on the outside shot. What he does inside the arc, I think, is brilliant with how he operates from the mid range. His mid range jumper, I think, is super smooth. His footwork, his ability to get to the rim, all that. I love the craft. I just get a lot of Julius Randle vibes from him, and I'm not sure I want to take Julius Randle with a top 1 or 2 pick. Even I know Julius Randle was an all NBA caliber player last year, but there were a lot of really rough years leading up to that, and this year we've seen him drop off a little bit again too. So I get the upside. I get the ceiling is still probably one of the highest in this class. I'm just really lukewarm on him recently. But for the Orlando Magic pick right here, I think that's a must pick because they're still in that zone of trying to take home run swings and find that lottery ticket guy. And Paulo is 1,000% that. And if he does hit that, scoring, the ball handling, the potential playmaking infused into that roster where they really haven't found like a true, quote unquote point guard yet. I think that combined with Wagner's, really impressive rookie year, I think that gives them a really fascinating foundation for a young team. But why are you lukewarm? Why are you kind of fading on them?
Yeah, and I don't want to get too off topic because we could probably talk about this for an hour, but I think and we haven't talked about this. I haven't really talked to anybody about the No Ceilings crew about this. It's just, I have the same vibes as you where he does some stuff that I like hold my breath and I'm out loud saying to myself, like, wow. Like, and it's like what you're saying. It's the craft, it's the footwork, the explosiveness with his footwork. I mean, he does something every game that you're really like, whoa, okay, I see it. But then I just keep kind of like, okay, I saw that. I need more. And I know that sounds weird to say, and it makes me seem crazy, but I also am like, does he have to be force fed? Are we thinking he's more of, like you're saying, like a Julius Randle I never even thought of, but is he more of one of those, like, he's got to get touches in the post all the time? And maybe that's fine. Maybe a team's okay with that. But I'm like you. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it exactly, but I just feel like you kind of know what he is. And I don't know if he's ever going to be this 25 or 20 to 25 points per game guy. He might just be this solid 16 or 17. And that's fine. I'm just saying, like, for a team like the Magic, that would be outstanding. Because if Suggs takes a leap, you have Cole Anthony, Wagner's been sensational. I mean, that's a couple nice pieces, but I don't know. I just wanted to pick your brain about it because, I feel like we see eye to eye with some evaluations, and I can't put my finger on it with Boncaro because I really like him. I just don't know if I'm taking him first. Like I was in the beginning of the year, I thought, oh my gosh. And now I'm kind of like, I don't know. Like the question's still there. So that's draft season.
No. Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, but enough thoughtful discourse. We have more shenanigans to get to. So with the fourth pick, the Atlanta Hawks have moved up 6 spots, and I'm doing it. I'm going Johnny Davis. He is the best guard in this class. I've said that on multiple platforms. And shockingly, I haven't been completely roasted for it yet, which I'm appreciative of the internet, which is a rare occurrence. But I think everything he's done this season has been incredibly impressive. I think I'm really encouraged by his at rim finishing with his use of angles. I think he has really good touch with both hands. His mid range scoring is, I think, pretty easily the best in the country. I'm encouraged by the outside shot, the defensive effort, and instincts and screen navigation is all really encouraging. And I think that entire skill set and his approach to the game and willingness to pretty much play whatever role he wants or he's asked to play fits perfectly alongside Trey. And if the Hawks are priming for a blockbuster trade like they may be, I think that he also fits really nicely alongside a potential Ben Simmons or in Tobias Harris. But if those two come in, that pick's probably gone. But even without those guys, I think he fits in really nicely with Trey Young and the rest of that roster because of his two-way impact.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And I do think the Johnny Davis train is scorch mode. I mean, it is, the whole train's on fire right now. That's how hot he is. And I think I even saw Jeremy Woo had a mock draft up today, had him going fourth. So I think that's the conversation we're having because he was impressive at the beginning of the year. Now he's been too impressive to ignore. And you were spot on early in the year, Ty, when you were talking like Johnny Davis, this kid has it. And he just, I think our first big board, we had him around like the 20s. And now all of a sudden we're talking, I think he was a top 7 guy for us. So he's just scorching up. And it's the part where it's like you're comparing him with those top guys. And you're like, can he move in front of someone else? Can he move in front of Apollo Moncaro? Because he's just showing, that Purdue performance. He's just showing he can do a lot. And I'm shouts to you because you were on that train early. And I'm a big fan from the small sample size I've watched. I've just been like, okay, I need to have an evening of watching Johnny Davis. So, okay, I'm trying to keep track of these while we go so we don't get too crazy and I don't try to re-pick people.
I am as well. So if you get lost, let me know. You're up with number 5 with the Houston Rockets.
Okay, so this is like a really weird spot for Houston, in my opinion, because
I kind of hate
you
it
just
for him.
took Jalen Green. There's guys that I would think you're reaching for. And I still think if you're Houston, you're in a spot where you need to take the best player available regardless, even if that's kind of going to bring up an interesting situation in the backcourt. So, I haven't had a lot of time to think of this, so I'm just going to say it on the go. I'm going to do Jaden Ivy, and I know this is a little wild because you're putting him next to Jalen Green, who I think needs the ball in his hand, but I just think you're so far away. Like, I love Kendall Brown. I think a lot of people will understand how much I love Kendall Brown. I think taking him at 5 just because that's a potential fit might be a little rich. And I think Houston's just so far away. You got to just keep adding horses in the stable. And I'm still a fan of Josh Christopher, but you get Jaden Ivy, and if you believe he could be a primary ball handler, or you believe those two could work, I mean, that's an explosive backcourt to work together. So yeah, I'm going to be crazy, and I'm going to take Ivy. Tell me I'm wrong, Metcalf. Where should I have gone?
So I think I would have taken a swing on AJ Griffin there. But the athleticism
You know
in that
why? I'm
backcourt.
going off my board. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm going off my board, and I haven't moved AJ back up. So yeah, there you go. See, I told you guys I'm wild
foolish.
already. Go ahead.
No, I just that athleticism with Ivy, Green, Porter, and that would probably be the most athletic backcourt immediately in the league. And I still don't think they would have a point guard, which is really concerning. But if you do go Ivy there, then I think you have the expectation that he can be that lead point guard, because I think everything we've seen from Jalen Green and KPJ so far this year is that they are not. I
Right.
think there's been a lot of encouraging stretches and flashes, and Jalen Green's been a lot better recently. But I don't think he's that lead guy. I don't think he gets others involved well enough. And the way Ivy's able to put pressure on the rim, and he continues to prove that he's really adept at finding those spot up shooters out of the driving kick. That would kind of be your hope, and then you pair that with Sengun as a pick and roll tandem. I think there's a lot of intrigue there, but I think it's really high risk, high reward. I don't love it. I personally would have gone AJ Griffin.
I mean, my thing with AJ is I haven't talked to anybody about this. I was watching like all of his film last night because I was just like, I have a bone to pick with him. And I watched it last night, and I got like 10 minutes in, and I was like, oh my. I was like, okay, I see what everyone is, buzzing about, because I was like, my goodness. And then you're just seeing it get better and better because you're seeing the confidence flow. I just think the medical is going to be the biggest swing of all for his draft stock. I mean, we're talking bowl status, where it's just every team's going to be foaming at the mouth for his medicals, because knee injuries, multiple knee injuries. He could either be a top 5 pick, or he could be someone playoff team saying, I don't care what it says, he's dropped enough, like, we're taking him. So yeah, if I could go back right now, I'd probably say that's a better fit. But I'm on the clock. I would have gotten fired in 2 years. So that's why I'm here and not a GM.
Yeah, well, and a team not averse to taking big swings and being patient with guys is Oklahoma City, who have the 6th pick, and they are going to go AJ Griffin.
So now you're just rubbing it in my face.
Yeah, no, I have to immediately make you regret your mistakes. So I think he might have the highest upside. Definitely remaining. He may have some of the highest upside in this draft if he kind of continues to earn more minutes and earns a bigger role, and proves that he can stay healthy. I imagine him continuing to skyrocket up more of the mainstream boards, because I know draft Twitter kind of has him already cemented in their top 10, if not top 5 some places. So based on pure upside, I like the fit as well. Positional need, the shooting. I think it's just the best route for the Thunder to go.
Okay. I'm going to agree with you because I know I've been rambling too, doing the pod with you again. So I'll try to keep this short. 7th, Indiana. Okay. Mathurin would intrigue me here, but I have a weird. I'm going to cause some chaos. You cause some chaos with Johnny Davis. I have a weird vibe. So I think the Pacers are going to split up Turner and Sabonis. I don't know which one it's going to be, but I'm sort of falling in love with the guy, and I'm probably going to get a lot of crap from the No Ceilings fam, including yourself. I'm sort of falling in love with Keegan Murray, and I just am starting to see it. And this is a guy at the beginning of the year was pissing me off because I couldn't see it. And I was like, I feel like no one's seeing it. So I just kept waiting for someone to be like, this guy doesn't have it or this guy has it. And I was like, someone jump in and tell me. And then I watched a little bit and I was like, I kind of feel like I like him a lot. And then our boy Evan Wheeler wrote a great piece about him. And I was so pumped that he took the dive to talk about him. And then I've watched a couple more of his games and I'm like, I think I'm seeing it. And I was just like, I like this kid. I feel like he just presented himself the right way. So, maybe the Pacers, I don't like to do mocks off of projected trades, but maybe they split those two up and then make Sabonis the 5 or, and bring Murray in. And maybe that's a bit better of a fit with two offensive kind of juggernauts that can fill it up and have some good feel around the, basket. I just kind of am intrigued with Murray's game. He looks like this guy that is going to creep up boards and maybe go a lot earlier than I think draft Twitter or some of us are realizing right now. So yeah, I'm going there, and I'm going to just get crazy now with this mock. Like all bets are off.
No, I'm right there with you with Murray because I think when we submitted our individual rankings for our composite big board, I had Murray at like 23 or something because I was just like, I just don't see it with this guy. He's feasting on these lower competition and his advanced numbers were absurd. And I think they still pretty much are across the board. And then, you watch him against a couple, higher teams and you just don't feel like he's taking over the game. But then you look at the box score, and it's like, when the hell did he put up 25, 8, and 8? It's like, where did these numbers come from? And then it's like, you kind of just start to realize that he's not going to hit you with haymakers. It's just death by 1,000 cuts. And it's a little bit throughout the entire game. And it's like, God, he's really good, isn't he? So I've recently moved him up into my lottery. I don't hate that. I think the way he plays fits pretty well with how I think Carlisle would really like him as a player. So I don't hate that. A team that I have absolutely no idea what to do with is the New Orleans Pelicans, who are picking at number 8. And yikes.
I don't think they know what to do either, so don't worry about it. It's not just you. Sorry, Pelicans fans, I'm kidding. We just want you to be out of the lottery. I'm rooting for you guys.
Man, you offended all 10 of them.
Stop it. They're legit.
No, I
bigger
want
problems
nothing but
with
good health for
Zion. We're trying to
Zion
figure it all out.
I'm just going to take what I think is the biggest home run swing here and go Patrick Baldwin Jr.
I like that.
6'9", small forward. The shot hasn't been super consistent. I think it's there. You look at his mechanics, and he looks like the best shooter in this class with that height. I really like his passing. I've been pretty disappointed with the motor and overall effectiveness so far this season, but I get a lot of Michael Porter Jr. vibes. If Michael Porter was willing to pass ever, but from a standpoint of just pure upside swing, pure, who has the highest ceiling left right now, I think I'm going to go PBJ.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I think I was more intrigued doing a film dive with PB. I thought I was going to go into it and be disappointed. I was more pleased watching his film. And I forget who said it. I think it was Coach Spinella at the Boxing One. I think he said go if you're on the fence, go watch his Team USA FIBA stuff. And I literally was just like putting that in my mind because
he just wrote an article on that.
Oh yeah, so I gotta go check that out. So shout out to Spinella. I mean, I do think that's a real part of the process and people forget hey, they were creating buzz throughout. Some scouts might be focusing more on that. So I'm still a believer of Patrick Baldwin Jr. I for sure am. We are at 9 with Sacramento. Shout out Nick, our boy at No Ceilings. The Kings. Whoa, here we go. Okay. Gosh, I'm getting annoyed when teams have guards that I can't add. Because Matherin just keeps. No, I'm not going to do that to him. I'm taking Kendall Brown. I think that's a good fit for him. Tyrese Halliburton and Kendall Brown together would be so much damn fun because that is just lethal court awareness from your wings. Yeah, let's keep it at that. I like that fit a lot. I'm not going to make it fancy because I can talk about Kendall Brown for 2 hours, and I know we can't do that. So
no,
go ahead.
No, I like the fit, the off-ball movement with Halliburton's passing, and I think it's a really nice compliment. It makes Harrison Barnes a little more expendable if they decide to actually get some value and move him to a contender. So I don't hate that at all. With the 10th pick, another team that's kind of on the treadmill of what are we doing here is the Portland Trail Blazers. I think I'm gonna go Jalen Duren. I don't love it. I'm been kind of underwhelmed by Duren this year, but the physical profile is absurd. The upside is still really fascinating, and if you really kind of minimize his role, give him an actual point guard for the first time in his life, or I guess at least compared to his Memphis days, he had some pretty good point guards in high school.
They all do.
I just think that he provides a sense of kind of rim protection, athleticism that Portland desperately needs. I kind of expect that Nurkic will be gone after this season. So, yeah, Jalen Duren, number 10 to Portland.
I will say me and you have been eye to eye with Duren the whole year, it seems like. And our boy Stephen Gillespie sent me a clip of Duren today because he was diving into his film, and it was literally Duren through like an over-the-shoulder, no-look dime. And I was like, excuse my French for all the children out there. I was like, where the fuck did that come from? I was like, oh my gosh. So
that
definitely got my attention.
He's definitely starting to show more of that, which is intriguing. He's just still super slow at like processing and like passing out of double teams and stuff. But then it's like, wait, he should still be in high school this year. So I just kind of have to keep telling myself that he's one of the youngest players in this draft. And it's like, just be patient. He's a physical freak. There are signs of growth on offense. There are things to work with. So I'm not completely out. I'm just underwhelmed.
Okay, so I can't do this to you. It's Minnesota at 11. This is your team.
No, I want to see where you go.
No. Let's do this for you, and then I'll take. Whatever. Okay, Minnesota at 11. Oh gosh, Ty, we're really getting down here. Ugly. Oh boy. Ooh, this is ugly. Wow. I had 5 minutes, right? Oh gosh, I know
I have a certain direction I would go, but I am curious to see where your head's at, with what they need.
I know what I'm gonna do. I just don't like it.
Okay, that's not encouraging.
Yeah, it's not encouraging at all. Wait, no, I can't go that way. Oh gosh, can I phone a friend? No. Ew. My problem is everyone I want to take for them is a point guard or a shooting guard.
Yeah, so that's kind of the route I would still go.
I'm gonna go Ty Washington so I get him off the board, and I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, there you go. Fight me.
Okay.
No, Well, go ahead.
I would have gone Mathurin.
We took him, didn't we?
No.
Oh,
No,
well,
you
no.
talked about
I'm
taking him.
canceling my pick. It was vetoed. Mathurin, I for some reason thought Mathurin was off the board because he should have been 5 picks earlier. Boom, roasted. No, Mathurin for sure there. Get him another guy with Anthony Edwards. I don't care. You're just building a nice rotation right there. I think Mathurin could be a great little asset. Do you move Edwards to kind of play a small ball 3 at times with Mathurin then if he hits the ground running?
Maybe eventually, but I think the main thing is just shooting off the bench, because they shoot like the third most threes in the league right now and have like a bottom 5 percentage from there, because Malik Beasley completely forgot how to shoot from outside, which is not encouraging. But I think his athleticism, his off-ball movement, his off-ball shooting, perfect fit.
Okay. Sorry for the veto. I won't let it happen again.
With the 12th pick, the New York Knicks, who I think I'm going to go with who you just said and go with Ty Washington. I think the Kemba Walker experiment has not worked. They still need a point guard long term, and I've been really impressed with Washington. He's still not the top ranked point guard for me, but based on what he does and how he would fit into that team, and it sounds cliche, but the Kentucky ties with that organization, I'm gonna go with Ty.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I think everyone loves the drool on the Kentucky ties. I think it's just ironic that they all end up there, but I think Ty is trending as probably going to be one of the top point guards in this class. I still have not jumped into that pool yet. I'm still just oddly confused at this point guard class. I don't know who I like. So
Same.
I think that's a good one. My Boston Celtics at 13. Excuse me. Well, I want to take Marcus Smart's evil twin, but I just can't stand this.
It gets really muddy once you get out of like kind of the top 10. That this 11 to 30 stretch is, I feel like, whoever we take at 30 could easily go at 12.
Yeah, I mean, you're wanting to swing here. Oh, my boy just keeps falling, and I can't take him here because it doesn't make sense. Ew, this is gross. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I don't care. I'm gonna take Trevor Keels to give Marcus Smart an evil twin to run around the whole entire floor. I understand everyone's not sold on Keels when it comes to the draft world. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's inconsistent. He had the big first game. What has he done since? I just think this guy makes plays. I think he's a pest. He's a game changer without having to score. I think he understands how to play and plays with contagious energy and passion. And, Boston just needs to keep getting guys that can help this team. And I know people are like, well, Celtics fans listening are going to be like, we need shooting. It's like, okay, well, you're in a spot right now. Just like Ty said, you're in a range where things are going to get a little hairy in this draft. I mean, that's kind of where we're looking for guys to climb up and cement their stock there. That's where a lot of the movement's happening. So I'm just really high on Keels. I know some people have had him in mock drafts at like 20 and stuff, but I think NBA teams are going to be bigger fans than the draft evaluators out there, because I think he just does a lot of stuff that can stick out and help, and a lot of upside. So go ahead, Ty.
I love your enthusiasm about it.
I'm struggling. I thought this was going to be fun, and now I hate every pick, and I studied for 6 hours.
All right. Well, to round out the lottery, the Washington Wizards at pick number 14. Ooh, could go Tari Eason. I could go Agbaji. That seems to be a little rich for some people.
Yes.
I'm going to go with a guy who's been playing really well recently, who me and you have talked about on the side quite a bit. and that is the freshman shooting guard from Michigan State, Max Christie.
Yes, Ty.
The shot is starting to really fall. The mechanics are still the same. His shot is absolutely gorgeous. I love how he moves off ball. I think he's a really good cutter. I think his ability to relocate on the perimeter just is second nature to him. And then I've been really impressed with the improvement of his defensive footwork. To start the season, I thought it was really sloppy and kind of lazy, but this last month, it's been really good, and his on-ball defense has significantly improved. So, going to take a bit of a swing and go with Max Christie.
Well, I think that's me and you might be the only two people in the world that haven't sold our stock. I think we were buying more. Or Nathan's probably on that with us, but I think we're starting to see it. It's coming around, and I've been so impressed lately with the confidence is finally kicking in, and you see what we were hoping to see early in the year. So, it's just the stretch where he had a rough couple weeks, and now all of a sudden, couple good games, and all of a sudden he's just a new player. So I'm like you. I still think I think this is the guy that we're saying we need. That range gets slippery. We're waiting for someone to come put their stake into the ground. I think Max Christie could be that guy that starts heating up. 15 is technically going, it's the Lakers, but it's going to Memphis.
Yep.
I can't take it anymore. I'm taking Jaden Hardy. I think this would be the Grizzlies just laughing their ass off because they'd be like, okay, yeah, give us another guy. Like, just throw him in there. We'll just bring him off the bench, behind Desmond Bane. We'll get the best out of him and develop him slowly. I think he'd be a great, early contributor off the bench with his outside shooting, and you don't have to make life miserable for him. And a lot of people are, slandering him because he was supposed to be a top 5 pick and he's in the G League struggling. Well, it's like he's starting to believe right now. He's starting to put some performances together. So I wanted to take Hardy way earlier, but you just keep running. This happens every year is you just keep one guy falls. So yeah, I think Hardy at 15 would be sensational value, especially for a team like the Grizzlies.
Yeah, Hardy's still one of these guys where I don't know what to do with because I see the shot making, but then I'm underwhelmed by the kind of athleticism and the lack of ball handling. But I've been really impressed with his willingness and improvement in passing, especially once he, kind of beats that first line of defense. And once he's in the paint, I think his ability to create for others in there has improved dramatically. So for pure kind of upside on a team that's looking to kind of contend, and we saw them take that home run swing with Zaire Williams last year. I don't mind that by any means. With the 16th pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder via the Clippers. I'm going to take one of draft Twitter darlings. I'm going to go with Tari Eason from LSU. And I think that this makes Darius Bazley much more expendable. I think it makes Kenrich Williams much more expendable. And the kind of just 1-2 punch of Robinson Earl and Eason, the kind of change of pace that they can throw at you at the four position there, I think would be pretty interesting. Eason's defense has been really impressive. His at rim finishing is obviously what jumps off the screen at you. So based on upside, based on fit, and just kind of team building, I'm going to go with Tari Eason at 16.
So I got Denver at 17. And I think this is the part where you could start falling in love with some guys that, might be a little earlier, but I think this is the range where go get your guy is what I always say. So I think this is a very interesting range for someone like that to sneak up. I had an idea of someone I wanted to go with, but I'm going to go a different direction here. I'm going to go a little bit of a shocker. I'm going to go with Ochai Agbaji. Is it Ochai Agbaji?
Ochai.
I'm going to say that wrong 35 more times throughout draft season. What is it? Say it to me once.
Ochai Agbaji.
Ochai Agbaji. Okay. I just think Denver's in a spot, they've had a couple of years where Denver's always done a good job of they'll go take guys. They'll take risks and stuff. Like I also think this is a spot where they need to get some contributors, some specific pieces. And, Abaji is going to get the upperclassman tag. I think that's a nice range for him where if he landed there, like they know exactly where they're going to get. They're going to get this 3-and-D type of player that can help on the wing. So I think I'll keep it short and simple. I think that'd be a good pick for them. I had a couple guys I wanted to go there with, but I think Abaji, around that range would be nice.
Yeah, I've loved Abaji since his freshman year, and just the way that he's transformed his entire game and improved across the board during his time at Kansas, I think is really encouraging for whatever NBA team decides to take him, because I think he can fit into pretty much whatever role that you need from him. But with the 18th pick, the Toronto Raptors, who, yikes.
We're getting ugly, folks.
This is really ugly. I kind of hate everyone on the board right now.
It's pretty bad. I mean, I'm just gonna BS to give you some time, but that's why this was a fun idea until we get to this range, and then it's just like mental warfare because you just keep looking at guys and you're like,
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to go Caleb Houston, but the way he's been playing, or not playing, I guess, has been pretty disappointing. So I'm not even sure he comes out at this point. Do they really need a point guard? I don't know. I don't love the centers at this point. Or do I?
You got to get someone that could team up with the Toronto Raptors mascot. And that's the best joke I'll make this week. So thank you guys. I appreciate you. What a terrific audience.
No, I could go Jeremy Sochan, but that feels a little too on the nose. You know what? I'm gonna go instead with Dyson Daniels.
That's a good one. I wanted to take him a couple spots earlier. I think that's a good one.
I'm still not completely in on Daniels. I'm pretty underwhelmed with the shooting has been bad. I really like his passing. The on-ball defense has been really impressive. I think he's a pretty good at-rim finisher. But with his kind of defense and size, I think he's one of those guys that you can probably fit into a rotation with a really clearly defined role from day one, and gives them just a little extra depth at point guard. So yeah, Dyson Daniels at 18 to Toronto.
This is getting ugly. I just made fun of you, and this is getting ugly. All right, I'm going to do it. Just because I mainly don't want to think about it anymore. Dallas Mavericks are on the clock at 19. Jean Montero, I'm going to get him off the board. Oh. And it's only fitting that Dallas takes an international guy, but I do think Dallas needs a point guard. Let's get him someone. I know they have that 6'8" guy or 6'9" guy that's pretty good, that rhymes with Buka, but I do think just Montero gives them a nice little weapon with some upside playmaking, some lethal speed, shiftiness. I just like that fit more than some of the other guys that are on the board. I think I don't like the draft for need, but I do think Montero's value around 19 is probably too juicy to pass up.
Yeah, Montero is one of those guys that I don't know what to do with, and I really wish he wouldn't have gone OTE. It's one of my least favorite viewing experiences.
You gotta mute it.
I've been, and I do within about 2 seconds. But just even like the style of play and the level of competition, it's just, and they're still basically, and they're high school kids, and he's still making a ton of on-ball mistakes and really underwhelming playmaking. But if you bring him in and he's more of this kind of scoring guard role that's more off ball, then I could see a little, higher ceiling for him, especially early on, where he's not taking on those primary duties, because those are Luka's, and I don't imagine him being this off ball dynamo anytime soon. And then long term, it gives them a little Jalen Brunson insurance if he goes out and gets paid like I expect he's about to. But with the 20th pick, The Atlanta Hawks are on the clock yet again, thanks to the Charlotte Hornets. Earlier, I took Johnny Davis at 4 for Atlanta, and now I think I'm going to go with I think I'm going to go with Walker Kessler.
Whoa!
It's pretty big reach. But
I love this.
It wouldn't shock me if Capella gets moved. Their defense has been pretty atrocious this year, and Kessler, I believe, has the highest block rate in the country. I think he's one of the best shot blockers in this draft and in the country currently. I think he's a pretty skilled vertical spacer as well and lob finisher. And he's expressed the desire to space out and be a shooter. He hasn't shown really any of it so far this year, but he has made that pretty clear he's made that desire pretty clear in the past. So given his rim protection, his vertical spacing, and, maybe one day he develops an outside shot, I think that fits pretty well with what Atlanta needs.
Yeah, I think I forget who I was talking to about this, but I do believe that in every draft, there's always like a big that can climb in a hurry and sneak into the end of the first round. And I do think Kessler's scorching so much right now that I do think there's a realistic chance that he could be one of those guys that goes around the late first. So because if a team falls in love with you and you can potentially be an early rotation asset, especially defensively with his shot blocking, I like that fit. I got Philadelphia 76ers at 20. Or no. Wait, you took Atlanta.
No, you're
sorry.
Cleveland at 21.
I have Cleveland. Cleveland rocks. I'm sorry, Cavs Nation. Okay. Oh, well, this is way more exciting. I thought I had Philly. I was having a little bit of a headache.
Yeah, no, I get to have fun with that one.
Yeah. I don't know. Ooh, this is actually really exciting. Who am I going to give Cleveland? The Red Hot Cavs. I'm going to give them something a little. No, I'm going to do this. I'm probably going to piss you off. I'm going to take Bryce McGowan's for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's just keep building the depth on the wings. I need to watch McGowan's a lot more, but from what I've watched him briefly, it looks like a very exciting talent when it comes to his offensive weaponry. He's kind of slithery in the lane, and I know I've talked to a lot of you guys at No Ceilings. You guys are very high on him, so I know Nathan is especially. So I think that would be some good value if you're getting a lengthy wing who can fill it up with size that you could kind of bring off the bench early on for the Cavs, and keep building that depth.
Yeah, and I don't hate it. McGowan's hasn't shot well so far, but I think the mechanics look really good. I think a bigger issue is his shot selection. Hopefully that's just a symptom of being on a pretty mediocre Nebraska team. But I've been pretty concerned about how he just kind of drives without a plan or takes some really bad pull-up jumpers. But we've seen that corrected in the past, and if the mechanics are that good, which I kind of think they are, then I don't hate it, or I'm not as concerned as I would be. With the 22nd pick, the Philadelphia 76ers are on the clock, and there's obviously the elephant in the room that is Ben Simmons, which I expect to be addressed in the next couple weeks before the trade deadline. But that is then. This is now. I'm gonna go Nikola Jokic.
Okay.
A little forward depth, a little shooting. Yeah, and I don't love it. I know Nick over at No Ceilings would have taken him in the top 10. But yeah, do you have any hot burning desire for Nikola Jokic? Are you as high on him as, say, Nick or some others were coming into the season, or where are you at with him?
I was probably higher on him in the beginning of the year. Everyone I've asked around the league that has a lot of ties overseas everyone was excited, but it's just the roller coaster of inconsistency. And now he's started to play. He's had a nice little stretch of games. I just did my recent article about my foreign relations piece on no ceilings about him.
Mm-hmm.
He loves the outside shot. It's pretty. He's got a good stroke. There's really serious flashes of playmaking. He's got great size. He's 6'10". He's super young. Like all of that, you're checking boxes. His first step worries me because he doesn't really get anywhere with it. You know what I'm trying to say? He doesn't have that burst and that, he needs to almost double his first step. It's almost like it's kind of short, and I just don't really see him explode off the bounce. So that worries me because I'm like, hey, you're, overseas Serbian league's really good players. I'm not downplaying that, but you're coming over to a league where that's going to be a different galaxy. So that's the only thing I'm worried about. But I also think he's still learning how to use his body. So I do think I understand if he ends up being a late lottery pick. I just think he's trending more towards a 20th, late teens, early 20s pick that you're hoping you can just be patient and develop, because I think he's going to need some time. I mean, he needs to learn how to use his body. He needs to fill out his frame. But I do like the tools, but I'm not a lottery guy with him yet. We'll see. But I do think there's just a lot of questions. Now you got me too focused on Jovic. Milwaukee Bucks at 23. I'm going to get him another Milwaukee Bucks pick, and this might shock you. I'm going to take Christian Braun from Kansas.
Oh, love it.
Yes. They got Jordan Nwora. Yes, they got Jordan Nwora 2 years ago. He's developed into a nice piece. I'm getting him another smart guy off the bench. I don't know what the heck's going to happen with DiVincenzo. Let's just get him another guy that can play and space the floor and knows how to cut. And it's weird. I'm a huge Christian Braun fan, and I feel like I've seen him in a couple mainstream ones that people don't even have him in the top 60. And I'm like, excuse me? What has he done in the last month that you dropped him from, 32nd to 68th? I'm like, what's going on? So, no, I still think that's an absolute NBA pick. And I think end of the first round, a team like Milwaukee, a playoff team, is going to jump all over a guy like that.
Yeah, no, I have Brown as a first round guy. I love his off ball movement. I think the drop in outside shooting is more of a symptom of defenses really being keyed in on it and running him off. And now he's showing that he can do more attacking closeouts and passing and cutting and doing all that kind of stuff, which I think is really encouraging. And then he'll get the required white guy tag of sneaky good athlete. And once you see him yam on a guy, it's all of a sudden not that sneaky. He's a really good athlete. So yeah, I love that pick for Milwaukee. It makes kind of how they want to approach and paying and keeping guys like Connaughton or Grayson Allen or DiVincenzo around. It makes that decision a little easier. But for a team that's in a completely different development period as a franchise, the Houston Rockets are on the clock with the 24th pick. And I think I'm going to go with Jeremy Sochan here. Give them a little forward depth. I think I absolutely love his rebounding, his overall feel for the game. I think he's a really good passer, especially for that position. And then just his team defense has been really impressive, and just the way he understands the floor and always kind of seems to be in the right spot. I'm a little underwhelmed by the shooting, and if that doesn't really come around, I'm not entirely sure what he is on offense, but he kind of reminds me of a thicker Jared Vanderbilt with how he rebounds and passes and just his overall energy level. And I just think that infusion of kind of basketball IQ and team defense, which that team is in desperate need of, fits pretty seamlessly for that team.
Okay, so I have a question for you. I'm not going to go too crazy because I know we're getting off. I don't want to get too off track, but Sochan's one of these guys. I have a list always of like, okay, make a note. I need to watch him. Make a note. And he's one of the top guys on my list. I've watched him briefly, and I just have to pick your mind. Is he seems like he's this high floor guy, like almost like a safe complementary piece. Is that just teams are going to be drooling over that, where it's like, we know what he is? Or do you think there's multiple levels that he's just waiting to like discover with his game, that he's just a really smart, like complementary piece? You know what I'm trying to say? Like a glue guy almost.
Yeah. So I think that I would be shocked if he's not just a quality rotation or like starting forward at some point.
Low maintenance guy, kind of.
Yeah, like he doesn't need the ball. He keeps the ball moving on offense. He crashes the boards really well, and then just really smart, fundamentally sound defender. He's not the best athlete, but the way he moves his feet and just kind of how he moves instinctually has been really impressive. The next level for him, I hate always going to it, but it's really true, is the shot. And does that shot come around? He's 35% on 2.5 attempts a game from three, which isn't bad. But I'd like to, since he's only really going to be just a catch and shoot kind of standstill shooter, I'd like to see that percentage a little higher. But if he bumps that up and then can really make defenses, execute long closeouts on him and then attack and then pass and create out of that, then that's like that extra level that I'm assuming people who have him in like their top 10, which is still a little rich for me. I'm assuming that's what they're seeing with his, potential.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. That was really helpful. I'm on the clock with the Miami Heat, correct?
Yep.
At 25. It's supposed to go to Brooklyn. It's going to Miami. I want to go with a guy that's been up on my board for a while. I'm not gonna. So I'm going to get a little crazy. I'm going to go Mark Williams here and give Bam a nice little bench asset. All of us are always eager to give the Heat more shooters, but I think they took Precious Achiuwa a couple years ago with the idea of giving Bam some young depth with upside. And I think, obviously that didn't work out, or they just traded for Kyle Lowry. But I like, this is a good value for them to kind of almost go back to that well and try to get some depth that, has some upside. It can keep Bam fresh moving forward. And I do think Mark Williams, there's a couple bigs around that area that have the defensive upside. And I like that fit. Although I'm going to regret that I didn't take one guy. Go ahead.
No, I don't mind that. I think it provides a good level of rim protection. I've made it well known that I'm a huge fan of his footwork overall. But with the 26th pick, the Memphis Grizzlies are yet again on the clock, thanks to the Utah Jazz. And I think I'm going to add to their kind of wing depth. It's a guy I'm not super high on, but I know a lot of other people are.
You're going to take this.
Marjan Beauchamp.
I was just going to take him. Yes. Why aren't you high on Marjan? Talk to me. Tell me why.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. It's the shooting underwhelms me. I feel like his defense has been a little inconsistent, but just sell me on him. Why should I be higher?
I'm going to throw some names out, and I'm not saying he's there, but I think this is the type of player he is. I think he's a wrecker, like a wrecking ball. I think he's like like what I just said, everyone listening, I'm not saying he's these guys. I'm saying this is his type of play. I think he's like Sean Marion, Gerald Wallace, just like, I'm going to mess stuff up in this game and help our team in any way possible. He just comes out of he's one of those just high effort, like, I have to make an impact and help my team. How can I do it? I've seen too many possessions where he's weak side and just crashes out of nowhere and keeps the possession alive. He's a garbage man. He cleans up Like guys are watching for rebounds. He flies out of nowhere, tips it, goes right back up. The shot definitely worries me. I still think there's some fine tuning with the defense, but I do think he plays so damn hard that it's like if he just gets a coaching staff that kind of shoves him in the right direction, I think he could just be such a nice, asset early on as like a specific, just like get in there and go crazy and make extra effort plays. Cause I think that's what he's going to do until the rest of his game comes on. But every time I watch the G League game, he does some stuff that I'm like, this guy, I like the way he plays. So Memphis would love him. That is a Memphis player right there.
Yeah, no, I think he'd fit right in there. And it may just be a thing where every time I watch the Ignite, I'm more keyed in on Hardy and Scoot and just trying to figure out what those guys are. And going forward, I do need to pay more attention because I believe on the mock draft that Sam Vecini and Matt Penny just did, I think they had him go like top 15. So I definitely know that there are people super high on him. I just haven't quite gotten there yet. I don't dislike him. I'm just not fully bought in like some people are.
He's definitely a wild one. I do feel like Daniels, Beauchamp, those are the guys that they're all over the place. I mean, I think Jeremy Wu had Daniels going ninth today. And it's just crazy up and down. So those are going to be some guys where you're either in or you're out. It seems like you're either a big believer or you're selling stock. Okay. I have Memphis again.
Mm-hmm.
Memphis just giving Sam Presti a run for his money. No. Or they do, and they just try to see if they can play 6 guys instead of 5 at the same time. Oh gosh, my board's I just hate looking at Caleb Houston and not giving him. You took okay, so this is important. Who did we take with Memphis already? Because I'm not gonna see. We're being smart here for everyone listening. I'm not just gonna keep taking like the same position over and over again.
I am kind of actually blanking on who I took.
Oh no, I got
there first.
Memphis went. We're doing a quick little rewind. Memphis went. I had him at 15. Oh, I gave him Jaden Hardy, and then you just gave him Beauchamp. Ooh. My problem is I love a lot of players on their roster already, so I don't want to keep doing. Ew. All right, fine, I'll do it. I'm going to give him J.D. Davison.
No.
And they're going to have the best backcourt of hair in the entire NBA with Ja Morant and J.D. Davison. My thing with Davison is I can't figure him out because I talked to Nathan about this early in the year. I get horrified about super athletic point guards in high school that are still needing to figure out the rest of the game because it's just such a tough position. And you see the flashes with Davison and you're really intrigued because he's got the length, he's got the frame you want, the measurables, he jumps out of the gym, but I still think there's a long way to go. So, if he's there, maybe Memphis is saying we're going to develop him. That's another talent. Just throw him on the list, throw it in the arsenal. So yeah, I'm going to be ugly and go JD Davison there.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in the same boat with you where it's like I get the potential, I get why people are buying in. I can't get there.
Yeah.
He's just I still think he's probably a first round talent, but just kind of barely for me. But
if you had a quick debate, just shot out of the gun, quick debate, and then we'll move on. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
No, please.
If you had to pick Kennedy Chandler or JD Davison right now, who are you picking?
Chandler.
Okay.
And
there
based
too.
on my rankings,
I'm there
it's
too.
About like a 12 spot difference. So,
and no one else is there with us. Me and Tyler are like the Spider-Man meme with our players that we still believe in.
Yeah, and yet he may not even go in the first round of this mock draft.
I know, and I hate it. It's
so
pissing me off.
With 28, the Chicago Bulls. I think they need more rim protection, so I'm going to go with your boy Christian Koloko. I think he's just. I I think his best role in the I don't mean this to sound like an insult, even though I know it will, but I think
You're
his
going to say
best
it the
role
right way.
in the NBA is to be that backup big who's in there to do the little things, protect the rim, and finish offensive rebounds and lobs. And
Yep.
that rim protection off the bench is something I think they need more of. So there isn't really that high rebounding, physical defensive power forward at this spot. So I think Koloko's the next best thing for them.
I think Koloko needs to be a rotation big that lives in the weight room for 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe all of a sudden you just hit gold and you're like,
It's like,
we have
Daniel
DeAndre
Gafford's
Jordan.
back.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm just saying. Like maybe you hit gold and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, we might have like a guy that we can have as a starter for, pennies on the dollar or something. I don't know. I just think there's a lot of upside there still. I like that pick. This is where I'm getting ugly. Okay, so I have the Golden State Warriors at 29. I'm doing it. I'm taking Hugo Bessid's going to the Bay Area.
Oh,
let's get crazy. I love it, but I don't care. I just love Hugo. I've been staring at his name for the last couple picks. I know the Warriors could go a couple of other positions, but the idea of just adding another microwave off the bench, Jordan Poole and Hugo becoming best friends and getting a place together in the city. That was fine. Being serious, I really like what Hugo does on the basketball court. He's been exactly what I was dreaming of this year within the NBL. Very talented. I'm still trying to figure out what his role is going to be because I talked about this with Nathan on our last Draft Deeper episode together. He almost reminds me of he has the Tyler Hero vibes, but it's almost like he's the smaller one that does more damage in pick and rolls. So I'm still trying to figure out, is a team going to draft him to just be like, okay, you're an off-ball guard, but when you're in the game, we want you to run pick and rolls because that's where you're at your best. Is someone thinking he could be a point guard? I still have to figure out what what rabbit hole I'm going down with that. But I think that's the guy that you add that to the rotation. That could be something special. That he plays with grittiness and he's a tough SOB. So I'm getting crazy. Go ahead, finish her off.
So with the last pick, the Oklahoma City Thunder via Phoenix, and so I could go Kennedy Chandler, who I still think is the best point guard in this draft. I could go Caleb Houston. I could get real crazy and go Taron Armstrong, who I think is the most fun player in the country right now. Shout out to the Australia contingent. And just speaking of reality shows with two best friends moving in together, him and Josh Giddey, I mean, come on now, it sells itself.
They would have to move the team to Australia. That would 100% have to happen. They have to move the team to Australia.
So just based on roster spots, based on taking that home run swing, I think I'm going to go with Hugo Besson's teammate, Ousmane Dieng, who I've been really underwhelmed by. And he's kind of plummeted across draft boards, but I think they'll still be able to stash him for a year, maybe more, or just bring him over and let him ride the bench and practice and kind of learn in house. But the physical tools are there. I think there are flashes of this really smooth kind of ball handling shooter scorer. So I think there's stuff there to work with. It's just going to need a lot of work. So Ousmane Dieng to round out the first round.
Okay, I'm going to throw a curveball at you. Just a little vent sesh. So we just went through 30 picks. I know we're about to be over an hour, so thank you everyone to still listen to us. I promise this next little quick segment's going to be worth it. We had 30 picks. Obviously, you're going to have some guys on your board that didn't get selected. I have a feeling we have the same ones. Is there anyone you think could creep up into the first that you're just not there yet? Because one guy for me is Harrison Ingram from Stanford. Feel like it's a name buzzing, freshman, forward, good size. He just had a big performance against USC. I'm just not there yet. I don't know. I haven't talked to you about any of these guys. I'm kind of saying this is an open mic. Is there anyone like that, or have you watched enough of Ingram? Like, I still have to watch way more. Just the
Yeah.
brief.
So I've only seen a couple games of Ingram, but I know there are a lot of people who are super high on him. I was really impressed with just his overall feel for the game. Again, underwhelmed by the shot, but the basketball IQ is there. Just the ball never stops with him. It's just he knows how to play basketball, which I enjoy out of basketball players. I just like looking at the guys who we picked. The guys who I don't currently have in my top 30 are Usman Dieng, Mark Williams, Walker Kessler, Koloko, and Beauchamp. And I guess technically all of those farther outside of that, it wouldn't shock me if Wendell Moore and EJ Liddell went first round. But then real wild card out of left field, Musa Diabate, who
I need you to. You're a Michigan guy. I need you to talk to me about Musa because I have not watched this. I've watched 2 games, and I feel like there's some people that are in love with him. So I need that. You got to have to sell me one more time. Sell me this pen. Shout out Corey and Albert.
So he's a tough SOB and plays like it every second he's on the floor. And you if you're defending him, you're going to walk away with a lot of bruises because he is constantly crashing the boards. He will post you up. He will drive through you. He will try to finish over you. I think there's a lot to be intrigued by defensively, but he's still really raw. And it kind of looks like he's never really been coached at a super high level on that end of the floor. And then the other thing is just the shot. And I think he looks a little more comfortable from 15 to 18 feet than when he fully stretches out to 3. It still looks a little awkward and kind of forced, like he's placing it. That the smoothness and his mechanics aren't there, but the rebounding, the effort, the defensive potential. I think it wouldn't surprise me if he has a strong end to the year and Michigan kind of turns things around a little bit and he gets in some workouts. It wouldn't surprise me if there are front offices who really get blown away with how hard this kid works and that they really think they can develop him into something special because I think the foundation for it's there.
Okay. Is he raw with? Is he? I can't believe I'm going to use this analogy. Is he like a bull in a china shop where he's just going crazy and he doesn't really have a sense of awareness, or is he just needing the game to slow down? You know what I'm trying to say?
It's
so hard. Yeah,
it's definitely the latter where he's just at full speed all the time, where it's pedal to the metal, and he needs to learn how to, shift down a gear because he'll try and make the right read, he'll try and make the right rotation, or try and cut off a drive, but he's almost too eager to do it and gets there too soon, or fumbles the ball because his body is moving or his mind's moving a little faster than his body is. So it's just kind of connecting those two and just slowing the game down mentally for him, I think would do absolute wonders. And I don't think that's something that's super uncommon with freshmen. So.
All right. Thank you, Tyler, I threw you the curveball. So thank you.
Yeah, no. My pleasure. Thank you for joining me. As we end every episode, what's the best thing you saw in the basketball world this week?
I don't want to talk about this too long. I'm not going to do college. NBA, the Grizzlies finally coming together with all their draft picks and how they've built through the draft has just been so awesome. And John Morant's become, a superstar. And I know your boys, your Minnesota Timberwolves are playing them tonight, but it's just been cool to see all of a sudden. We kept waiting for the Grizzlies to click, and all of a sudden they're just rolling. I mean, they won 10 games straight. So that's the best thing I've seen.
Totally agree. They're probably the most fun thing going on in the NBA right now. But Tyler, thank you so much for joining me. Please plug away, tell the people where they can find you and how and what they can do to help support you.
I'm at Backcourt Violation, which is at Backcourt V on social media. But more importantly, I am at No Ceilings with all of these fun guys. NoCeilings.substack.com. Me and Tyler have been doing some stuff on our YouTube channel at No Ceilings TV. So make sure you guys are checking that out as well and subscribing. And Thank you, Ty, for having me on. I always like doing this, and I still regret not taking AJ Griffin early, but I hope Rockets fans won't come after me in the middle of my nightmares. So appreciate it.
Well, once again, I'm your host, Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me on Twitter at tmetcalf11. And like Tyler said, subscribe to everything No Ceilings, please. It's all free. NoCeilings.substack.com, No Ceilings TV on YouTube, No Ceilings NBA on Twitter. It's all free. It gets delivered directly to your inbox. There's no excuse not to subscribe. So please help support us and do that. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and a 5-star rating. Until next time, see you.